Braden Smith and Trey Kaufman there. Yeah, they're both amazing players. I actually got the opportunity to play a little with Braden this offseason. Uh, he's elite. He's a very good player. I don't know if I could pick any player in the country to take over him. So I would have to go with Braden Smith. But Kaufman Wren's not a bad second option, let me tell you that.
I'd have to agree with Nick on that one. They're both excellent players who bring a lot to their team. But I'm gonna go with Braden Smith. The way he just is able to lead a team, the value he brings to the team. I'm going Braden Smith.
Where did you play with Braden this summer?
Just some pickup ones.
Up here? Or?
Yeah, up here.
Nick, you've got a little bit of a mustache right now. Is that a media day only, or is that sticking around for the season?
I honestly don't know. Yeah, I was just kind of like in the shower this morning. I was like, what are we going to do today? And decided to go with the mustache.
You guys have a lot of new additions to the team this year, both massive freshmen coming fresh and transfer. As you guys are seniors, what have you done this offseason to kind of integrate that group and make sure that you are all short of having a team going into the season?
Yeah, this offseason, we've done a lot of just things to build our chemistry on and off the court. I think a lot of the stuff we do off the court, just like simply just hanging out, spending time together, getting to know each other. Those type of little things translate, big to on the court. So just doing all of that stuff, welcoming these new guys into our culture, showing them, what our culture is about. Me and Nick, I think, that's been the key. So. Yeah.
Which one of those introverts has impressed you guys the most so far in training camp? Kind of just get that.
I think in terms of value, we really, really needed a big guy to step up out of the transfer portal, and I think AP has done an unbelievable job. The energy that he possesses, the freak athleticism. Every time I'm driving in the rim, I'm looking around, being like, "Yo, where's he at?" So, and that's a tribute to how hard he's worked this offseason, and he's just done a great job. Listening to me and Justin and the coaches about how to take coaching, how to react in certain situations. He's done a great job so far.
Either of you, Trey finished Northwestern highest ranked over ever since. What have you seen out of him so far? How good do you think he can be?
We've seen a lot out of him. He's a really great freshman, very solid. He loves the game. He puts in a lot of work also. When you have that level of dedication as a freshman, it's it's scary. Like his ceiling is just so high, and we saw that since day one. So I'm sure he's just going to continue to keep getting better. Over time. He takes coaching great. He takes criticism great. So he's just a great player overall, and I'm sure he'll have a great future.
Nick, down the stretch last year, you had a really incredible workload. So how much of this offseason has been, increased development of your game versus just kind of rest and recovery from that stint?
Yeah, at the end of the day, we didn't get done what we wanted to get done, so it was a working off season for sure. I was obviously doing pre-draft, so took about a week off after the season. I was right to it. I really wanted to try to impress as much as I could at those draft workouts, and after that, it was getting ready to go for this season. I obviously wanted to expand my game a ton, and I was just getting better little by little. Trying to push my conditioning. I know that I might have to have a similar workload this year, and I want to be able to battle even harder than I did last year. I truly think that this team can do a lot of good things, and I'm super excited and motivated by that.
What was some of the feedback you got during that pre-draft process?
Yeah, full transparency. I think that obviously the two things they were looking for in my game, as everyone knows, is three-point shooting and defense. But it was a super humbling experience, coming off a pretty good season. I thought that, I'd get a real look, and definitely I got the sense that I was kind of just there to be, a sparring partner with those, really high-level guys that, teams were looking at. And that's definitely a humbling experience, a motivating experience for me. Obviously, in your own head, you consider yourself as good as anybody else in the country, and going in there and kind of seeing that you're kind of just there to kind of spar against guys that they're actually taking seriously. it's definitely a humbling experience. But I mean, it was a great experience nonetheless. It was a dream of mine to walk into those NBA facilities and put on a practice jersey. So it was an awesome experience, but definitely a humbling one.
So you're going on big deadlines for this NBA runs. Are you gonna try and record those out this season?
I mean, I can't make any guarantees, but I'll try my absolute best. Yeah, I mean, sports is all about humbling experiences. If you don't get embarrassed a little bit, you'll never really grow at anything. So I'm obviously motivated just a bit by that, but I'm more motivated by a guy like this that came in after transferring and has just worked his butt off and taken coaching and listened to me about how to get better at certain things and just to see this guy jump and see my teammates, that's really more motivating. The guys that are in the room with you every single day. For me this year, there's a lot of guys that felt like they've been undervalued at times, whether it be being recruited out of high school or even, before they transferred. I think that, we're super hungry. Every player has a chip on their shoulder this year, and that's what motivates me.
You know, you guys lost a lot of last year's game last night. How are you guys playing all the that? The numbers are guys who are 30% up. Who's been the strongest year in
I wouldn't say it's been one person. I think it's simply just next man up. We all understand when we lose great players like that as a team we all have to step up. And there is no really filling their shoes for full, to the fullest. But we all just take a step up. We all our role increases, and we just do what we have to do. So, yeah.
we talked last year, you're talking about with Brooks, you could get working against each other in practice, each other 1-on-1 after. You could get embarrass each other in the weight room. You guys should have your best game, or didn't step up. Do you have somebody like that who you work with in that regard this year yet?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a little different, when we were doing that, we were young guys just trying to figure it out, and now I'm in a different position of leadership where guys are looking to me to be a role model. So I definitely think a lot of my focus has been on the team and things that guys need. And if they need any advice, I've been through it. I've had such a great opportunity having leaders such as Boo and Robbie and Ty, that have taught me so many things, and I just want to pay that forward.
Yes, one guy you talked about in hindsight last year was Nick Martinelli. How have you kind of seen him grow throughout this offseason? What do you think he showed this year?
Yeah, I mean, Angelo's done a great job thus far in the summer and fall. I think Justin can attest to this. He's definitely made a big jump, and as being a guy from Chicago, we were working out a ton together. Me, him, and Justin just getting after it. And on a Wednesday morning, mid-August, everyone's already probably on their way to school. You don't want to wake up and go run sprints and get working, but he was here every single day, grinding his tail off, and I think that it's going to pay off in dividends.
What do you see personally as the biggest area where you want to take leadership?
Definitely on the offensive side, I took shooting very personally. Just remembering, last year I was kind of left open a little bit on the threes at times. I took it very personally, so that was just something I wanted to attack. Just being that solid shooter that can, just make the simple catching in three shots. So yeah, that was the biggest area I worked on, I would say.
What's your reaction to this?
I mean, I didn't know that, but yeah, I definitely think, as I said before, you can look at that and be like, oh, this is what motivates me, but a number doesn't motivate any of us. As I said, as I'll continue to say, we motivate one another. Our coaches, the guys that are in there every single day, seeing what work is being done, those are the guys that motivate us. Obviously, you want to be, thought of highly by, people who, are making predictions about how you guys are going to be this year. But at the end of the day, it doesn't change anything at all, whether or not we're 15th or 1 or 18th. We've been, predicted to be the lowest, every single year. And I think we've done a good job just kind of leaving it aside and focusing on what we have to get done.
After losing South defenders like Matt Nicholson or Ryder, how do you think that the defense will respond and continue to keep that as a key part of the team's identity?
Yeah, we just know where our feet is. I think Coach Collins and even our assistant coaches do a great job of just grounding us on, letting us know that, defense is without defense, we kind of just fall apart. Like that has to be our solid foundation. So, we just continue to work on it. Continue to get guys up to speed that we need to, and I think just doing that, we're gonna be in a good place. I think with the incoming freshmen we have and also the transfers, like especially AP, like we have some rebounding coming in definitely. We have some defensive guys that can really get after it, like Jaden Reed, like for example. So I think we'll really be fine. Like I said, we're just kind of getting guys up to speed with the defense, and I think we'll be fine with the rebounding. As far as where we left off at.
For Nick, Brooks' name has come up a few times. Can you just share a little bit what it's been like this summer to see him go through the draft process? And then also, I think he came back to Northwestern a little bit over the summer. So can you just kind of share what that's been like on your end?
Yeah, I mean, I think that day when he was drafted was an emotional one for all the people that have been around him because we know how much he had been through. And yeah, he's come back and we've hung out and kicked it a couple of times. Just to see that joy back in his eyes for the game of basketball is, something that it's super, awesome to see. As a guy that grew up with him and grew in our games, but also as human beings who begin to understand how kind of a person rolls and seeing last year nearing the end of the year when, his mental got just a bit off, just because he wasn't able to play the game that he loves. It was a little sad, but, him getting drafted, it just shows what type of perseverance, you have to have. Like a guy like that just has fought for every little thing in his life, even every practice, fighting for every last ball, every last rebound, diving on it on the floor. That's just the type of guy he is. So I wasn't surprised. Truly, I wasn't surprised that he got, picked. I was happy that he got picked, excited to see it, but I was not surprised whatsoever.
Have you reached out to, either him or Boo? They were kind of the leaders of the past two teams, and now kind of, after last season, this is kind of your team. You're kind of the star player, I think. So have you kind of reached out to them for maybe some advice or feedback on, how they kind of led the last two teams?
Yeah, I mean, I got to experience it firsthand, how they led. So that was something that, I've gotten to take with me. But yeah, Boo and Brooks have been around a ton, and we've sat down and talked, They just love to talk ball, and I love to talk ball. So I've gotten a lot of advice, even about the draft process and things like that from them. So before doing that in the spring, I got to talk to them a lot about it. But yeah, leadership was something that Boo, especially, was super honed in on, and he's really helped me in that aspect.
For either one of you, I think a lot of people are expecting KJ to take most of the on-ball reps and you get a lot of other intriguing players in the Jason coming in, Jordan coming back, and several freshmen as well. What are your expectations overall for the backcourt when you guys are playing? And what have you seen so far in training camp and practices from that?
We've seen a lot from those guys. Our expectation is that we're going to have a great backcourt full of solid guys who can handle the ball, make open shots, make the right plays. All of those guys are good guys. You can't really put it on like one guy was going to, take over. We can't say that we're not the coach, but what we can say is that we have all of those guys are great players, and they're all capable of being great backcourt players.
Yeah, I mean, it'll definitely help. prepare us because these teams obviously have high major. There's a ton of really good mid low major teams that have talent that really give us a run for our money. But just the size, the strength, you kind of get used to in the Big Ten. It's a super defensive minded league, so you get a little bit of that with those teams. But yeah, I mean, it's just a great opportunity for us to see where we're at, and for these, we have 8 new guys. We're going to see how we react to struggles, failures, being down in the game, maybe. So I think that it's massively important for us. And what do you think, Just?
No, I agree. Yeah, it'll definitely be a test before we really get into the Big Ten play. And yeah, it'll show us where we stand. So yeah, we look forward to those games.
For either of you, it feels like a goal. Obviously, be making March Madness. Both of you guys have been there, so how can we kind of guide players on this roster who haven't been there and tell them, this is how we have to do this to get there?
Yeah, I mean, everything starts at the root, and I think the root of guys that I've surrounded myself around in the Northwestern program that have been successful is just having that killer mentality. Practice, it might not be the sharpest at times, but we need to expect that it's going to be hard-nosed basketball every single day. And that's what I love. I love, get my nose in there, against, whoever. I love guys. You talked about, maybe us not being as big, as able to rebound, but we have guys that can fly that are going to just throw their bodies in there to grab rebounds, and that's the type of guys that I want to play with.
Yeah, I agree. We're just teaching them really how to be the ultimate competitors on the court. That's what got us to March Madness, and we understand that that's what we need to do to get back there. So, me and Nick, we really just are trying our best to just lead the young guys, the transfers, show them what the culture is about, so we can get back there.
The full schedule being out now for either of you, is there a particular player or a team matchup that you've got circled that you're seeing?
I mean, I'm really looking forward to practice tomorrow. So, but yeah, I'd say Iowa State, that exhibition game, just to get out there. We're all like so amped up just to get out there, and yeah, as a senior, I'm just taking it one day. He knows, we're taking it one day. We're trying to enjoy it as much as we can. As difficult as practice can be, it's just such a blast being out there every day.
Yeah, you really try not to look ahead when you're a senior, right? Just really soak up the moment, knowing this is going to be your last season at it. But if I had to pick, I would say Oklahoma State, just playing at the United Center, being a Chicagoland type of guy. As a kid, you just want to play at the United Center. Every kid who plays basketball, Chicago has that dream. So I'm super happy we get to play at the United Center for my senior year. I'm sure Nick is excited too. But that's just one game if I had to pick. Yeah.
Your class first got school making one you guys both so now, like, heading into your final season, what do you guys look for classes like, and how are you planning on this?
Yeah, I think just withholding those values that were there when I got there, that got us to March Madness. When I leave here, I don't want that to be the last March Madness that we make. I want my kids to see Northwestern teams making March Madness. I want to see it myself. I want to be at those games, and I want to. I want to be a real, and Justin can attest to this, just be a true mentor for these kids that have come in so that they can be mentors to those that follow them. I know Coach is going to do an amazing job. All the coaches are going to do an amazing job getting these guys ready to go. But just leaving that, in the locker room, that culture that we have, that brotherhood that we have, there's truly nothing like it.
Yeah, I agree. Just leaving that legacy and that culture that Nick just talked about. We would obviously love to end on a March Madness, but we want to leave it with becoming a program that makes March Madness every single year. We want to continue to keep that culture here. So yeah, that definitely would be something big for us.
Nick, in that full stretch of the season, you were playing high 30s for almost every minute of the game. Do you expect that to be the workload this season? And how have you kind of prepared your body for that from start to finish?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just really honed in on doing my job. If Coach wants to throw me out there for 40 minutes, I'll give it my absolute best and try to do everything he tells me during that 40 minutes. And if not, if it be 30 or 20 or 10 or 5, I'm going to be in there every single minute giving it my all. So That's really all I can tell you.
Nick, I apologize if you answered this already, but the advantage of staying at Mercy for a long period of time, did that help you not only on the court but off the court too, with establishing friendships and academically?
Yeah, no, 100%. Coach talks about it all the time. Just, people don't really, with the transfer portal, people are struggling to find a home. Like I wanted to have a home that I can come back to, and yeah, it's definitely suited me well. The way that they've developed me as a player and a person, it has truly been special. I wouldn't have done it on my own. They were on me every single day, expecting the best from me every single day. And if I had left, who knows, what I would have been today. So yeah, and just he knows how hard it is to be a transfer, to pick up on things, to try to fit into the camaraderie of the team. So yeah, I definitely benefited from it.
Yeah, I would just say he took away the competitive. He brought the competitiveness with him to over from there to practice. He's just a competitive player, a dog. He likes to get after it. And I think that's going to be his biggest thing is just having that motor. Yeah, bringing that over with him, continuing to have that motor. That's just gonna help him have a great freshman season. So, yeah.
You're both looking, pretty stylish. This is a Big Ten Media Day event. You guys share, kind of where you got your suits and what the choices were for today.
Yeah, I'll shout out to the Suit Supply on Rush Street, Chicago. So yeah, they got great.
Yeah, I'm gonna shout out Gus Hurlbert. I called my mom a couple days ago asking about my suit, and apparently I had ripped my suit pants. So I called Gus. I said, "Yo, I need a suit." He said, "I got you. Come over whenever and grab it." So shout out Gus.
Yeah, I went to Mexico, Cancun for the spring. So,
yeah, I went to Spain for about a week. Went to Barcelona and Madrid. Yeah, I mean, yeah, super eager, and yeah, once you that first 4 minutes, you're just itching to play it. You're nervous. There's all the emotions that are involved. That's as for every game, but the first game especially. When you don't really know, you put in the work, but you don't really know what it's going to produce. And so yeah, getting out there and just seeing where you're at and then adapting after that, it's huge. It's definitely a bit of a sigh of relief getting out there.
Yeah, there's 30 practices before the first exhibition of every year. So it's by the time you get to that point, you're so eager to just play against somebody else who's not your teammates. So yeah, we're definitely excited to play Iowa State and see what we're about. The ultimate test. So yeah, we're very excited.
All right, wrap it up. Thank you.